Okay, friends, this is day 5 in our online Bible study looking at the Gospel of John. I hope that you have seen some things this week in the first 18 verses of John that maybe you've never seen before, even if you read the Gospel of John before. For many of you, this is your first time reading it, so I know that you're seeing things that you haven't seen before. Today, I want to round this out by looking at one word. It's a word that you see a lot in these first 18 verses. It's a word that you see 3 times just in the first verse. The word that we're going to look at today is the word word. Okay? You see it right there. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And you leave that verse thinking, what is the word? Okay? The word here is the translation of the Greek word logos or logos, which can just be translated as word. It's just an ordinary word for the words that you see on this page. But it also has so much more meaning as well. You're already making some connections back to Genesis 1. Alex helped us to see those things earlier in the week. You're making some of those connections, and there's something cool that I had not seen until this week. Somebody shared this with me this week, where it says, and the Word was with God. The preposition there, with, is the Greek word pros. And there's a perfectly good Greek word for with, but pros means something a little bit different than that. I read that and I think, so the word's just like hanging out with God. It's like he's just with God, you know. The word pros means like for, or for the purpose of. So it doesn't mean that the word is just hanging out with God. It means that the word was for God. The word was for like accomplishing the purposes of God. And then think back to Genesis 1. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was formless and void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. A wind from God swept over the waters, and God said, what? Let there be light, and there was light. What is the word of God doing from the very beginning? Accomplishing the purposes of God. How good is that? The word was with God, but that it doesn't mean with like just hanging out. It means that the word was there accomplishing from the very beginning the purposes of God. Think about a word. When I speak a word, that word is, it is me in the sense that it is proceeding from me, and it is me in the sense that it it represents, it embodies my will, the things that I want to see happen, like as I speak these things. But it's also not me. Like the words that are leaving my body right now are me, but they're not me. So what is the word? The word both is God, but it's also distinct from God. Like you see Trinity here. God the Father, the Word is God, but also distinct from the Creator here. The Word is for the purpose of God and also is God. It's a divine mystery. We see it right here. And here's another layer to this. The idea of logos or logos was also one that was popular, not just like we talked about how this would have influenced the Jews, like people who grew up knowing the scriptures, but it also would have influenced Greeks who were pagans, who knew nothing of the Jewish God. But the idea of logos or logos was, I mean, it's complicated. I don't fully get it, and I have my mind fully wrapped around it, and it varied among the Greek philosophers. The idea of logos or logos was like the mysterious, mystical, kind of spiritual source of human reasoning. Like this thing that is around, moving around us, that is the source of our wisdom. And I think the closest that we can get to it today is it's kind of like the idea of like the universe. It's what people believe in when they say I'm spiritual but not religious. It's like this openness to something beyond we can see, taste, touch, feel, and hear. But it's not strictly like religious in the way that we think about religious today. So what does the author of John do? He doesn't make fun of like the spiritual but not religious thing. He says, I'm going to grab onto that. So you believe that there is some kind of like spiritual force that has something to do with like creating in us like reason and things like that. And it's the source of like that inspiration, that wisdom. You believe that. Let me tell you, I know what that logos is. The Logos is actually the means through which creation came into existence. And then he takes a radical step. And he says, and that Logos, that word, that thing that you believe in but don't really know a lot about, that thing, verse 14, that thing became flesh. The Logos became embodied. It became flesh, and it has dwelled among us. It's this radical belief that the God of Israel, if you're a Jew, became human to look you in the eyes, but it also speaks not just to the religious folks, it speaks to the people who are far from this understanding of who God is, but who at least admit there's something spiritual. It speaks to them also and says, like, the universe or the spiritual thing that you believe in, it became human to look you in the eyes. And then, of course, from there, you can learn all things about who that God that the word proceeds from is. It is so deep, it is so rich, and it is speaking to the religious folks and to the non-religious folks. And that, of course, is what we hope will be true today also. That the truth of who Jesus is will be revealed, will be unfolded to those who believe and to those who don't yet believe, but who have some kind of openness. May that happen for us. Through this reading of the Gospel of John, may we come to believe more. And may we also be given the ability to share this good news with people who will never today open up a Bible or walk into a church, but who believe maybe there's something else out there. May they come to believe that that something else, that more that they are looking for, is found in the person of Jesus. God bless you, friends. Keep with your reading. We are reading some awesome stuff next week. Some of my favorite stuff in the entire Bible is what we're reading next week. Keep up with the reading. We'll have more Bible studies next week. God bless you, friends, and we'll see you then.